Good afternoon. Today marks a proud and historic day for all of us, the grand opening and dedication of this new incredible facility. This building stands as a symbol of who we are as the Downstate Illinois Laborers District Council, strong, united, and committed to progress. This is more than just a building. It represents our values, our hard work, solidarity, and pride in our craft. Every inch of this place reflects the determination and skill of the men and women who make up our great district council. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank our executive board members and our delegates. Your vision, your leadership, and your commitment to our members make all this possible. This building and everything it stands for is proof of what we can achieve when we work together. Thank you for your dedication and your service to the Downstate Illinois Laborers District Council. Today, we also honor someone who has had a profound impact on this district council, a man whose leadership, integrity, and work ethic helped pave the way for everything we're celebrating today, our retired business manager, Glenn Ramage. Now, many of you knew Glenn as your business manager or as your friend, but I also have the privilege of knowing him as my father. And to me, that makes this moment especially meaningful. Standing here today, dedicating this building to his name and legacy is something I will cherish for the rest of my life. My father devoted his career to building this district council stronger, not only in numbers, but in opportunity, unity, and respect for each and every one of our members. He led by example. He believed in power of action, in doing the work, and never waiting for things to happen. But his journey and his strength were shaped by something even deeper. When my dad was just 12 years old, his father, my grandfather, was electrocuted and killed on June 26, 1968, while working on the Poplar Street Bridge. Back then, lawsuits weren't common, and there was no pension or health and welfare. His life had a monetary value of $570. The money of $570 was raised by friends and fellow members of the Labor's Local 100. That tragedy taught my father what sacrifice looks like. He learned early that this union stands for family, perseverance, and pride in hard work. Those lessons never left him, and they became the foundation of the leader he would one day become. There's a quote he's known for, one we've all heard a time or two, and it captures exactly who he is and what he stood for. And I'm going to give you the clean version of that. Don't wait for the phone to ring, make it ring. That wasn't just a saying. It's a philosophy. He taught us to be productive, to go out, find the work, build the relationships, and create the opportunities. That spirit of drive and determination continues to guide us each and every day as we represent our members. So today, we dedicate this building. We dedicate it to more than just a man. We dedicate it to a legacy. A legacy born from hard times and built on hope. A legacy of leadership, strength, and belief in our members and our mission. Dad, on behalf of every member, every retiree, every apprentice, and the generations yet to come, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your years of service, your leadership, and your example both as a union leader and as a father. This building stands as a living testament to your vision and to your work. As your son and as the current business manager of the Downstate Illinois Laborers District Council, I promise that we'll carry that vision forward with the same heart, the same passion, and the same fire you inspired in each and every one of us. As we dedicate this building today, let's remember the words that got us here. Don't wait for the phone to ring, make it ring. This building, this district council, this future, they're all built with pride, built with purpose, and built to last. Welcome to the grand opening of the Downstate Illinois Labor's District Council. Please join me in welcoming a leader who doesn't just talk about supporting LiUNA, he proves it. Governor JB Pritzker has shown time and time again that when he invests in Illinois, he invests in us. Under his leadership, Illinois is preparing to launch the largest infrastructure program in state history, $50.6 billion through the Rebuild Illinois Capital Plan. And that means one thing for our members: work and opportunity. Governor Pritzker has stood shoulder to shoulder with labor, defending and enhancing prevailing wage laws, expanding project labor agreement usage, and ensuring that taxpayer dollars fund projects built by qualified union professionals, not just the lowest bidder. Brothers and sisters, delegates and friends, let's stand tall, make some noise, and give a true labor's welcome to a champion of working families, a true friend of LiUNA, and the governor of the great state of Illinois, Governor JB Pritzker.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. It is great to be in a room full of friends, and I got to say, I know I can speak for everybody standing behind me. I mean, the pride that we feel being with you, and I mean, when I say being with you, I don't just mean being here in person. I mean being with you every day. We feel great pride in that. We feel great pride to be here to honor Glenn Ramage. Yeah. And you're terrific. Thank you very much for your friendship over these many years. I got to say, Dustin, thank you for the kindness that you've shown me and your partnership, along with all of your members, and standing up for the working people of Illinois. Being able to stand with people you like, people you trust, people you believe in, that really matters in life. Always a pleasure to be with all of you. The hardworking trades of the Laborers District Council, representing the men and women who are, in fact, building and rebuilding this state time and time again, but especially right now, doubling down, making sure that we've got the most modernized, best infrastructure, the best facilities in the entire United States. We're now ranked, by the way, in the top 5 for infrastructure in the whole United States, and we're going to be number 1 soon. I want to recognize the great members of the General Assembly that I get to work with every day to make all of this happen. Nothing happens unless you elect great people and send them to Springfield. I can't get anything done. They can't. Leadership matters, and the leadership is coming from the people that you send. They have made us the most pro-worker state in the entire nation. Senator Chris Belt, Leader Jay Hoffman, Leader Katie, there's a reason leaders before their names, but Leader Katie Stewart, and of course Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias. Thank you to all of you for the work that you've done. Most importantly, to the great Glenn Ramage, a champion for working people, a stalwart for the community, a great friend to each and every one of us, a partner to me since the very beginning. I think I met you, I don't know, when nobody was supporting me, that's true. And yeah, she was. I don't know why she took pity on me, Nikki Budzinski. It's true that I would not be governor today were it not for Nikki Budzinski. But Glenn, you have. You've developed an unparalleled legacy, and I think everybody in this room knows it. As a leader in the labor movement for decades, as a member of the Capital Development Board, you've taken up the leadership mantle in a way that well, very few other people ever have. And you've organized and mobilized the workers of this region and of this state to make big things happen. So to be clear, your legacy, though, goes far beyond just the bricks and mortar that we're standing in today. It's alive in every inch of progress for workers in our state, which you've been instrumental in helping to achieve. Especially over the past 7 years during my tenure in office, you've helped make Illinois a beacon of hope for workers everywhere and a national model for the protection and promotion of labor rights, better wages, and safer workplaces. It's because of you, and I really mean this, that when I go out and talk to sometimes national labor organizations, there are folks from all over the country, and I stand up and they say, oh, this is the governor of the state of Illinois. Everybody in that audience knows this is the best state in the entire country to be a laborer. It's the best state in the entire country to be a worker. It's the best state if you want workplace protection, if you want good wages, if you want to have a strong union behind you. So thank you. Thank you for making that possible. I'm just going to name a few things that maybe you already know, but I think it's worth repeating that we're the only state in the nation that has a workers' rights amendment in our Constitution now, and it's because of all of you. So we're not going to see any right to work law ever in the state of Illinois. Whether we're talking about fighting wage theft or day labor exploitations and stopping that, together we wrote laws that protect fair wages and demand workplace safety. And alongside that, we appointed the most pro-worker leadership team ever at the Illinois Department of Labor. If any of you remember what it was like 7 years ago at the Department of Labor and before, now you've got real advocates and people who actually come out of this movement who are making it happen to fight for you to make sure employers are doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm very pleased and delighted that we've developed, I think, a movement for labor for the state of Illinois that is a model for everyone else in the country. We invested more than $100 million in job training, pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs, making ourselves the #1 state in the Midwest for workplace development, workforce development, to ensure that new opportunities for hardworking Illinoisans exist for young people who want to just join the trades. You've made that possible. We passed the largest infrastructure law in the nation. When we did it in 2019, there was no help from the federal government. I'm not dissing the federal government, thank you, Congresswoman, because she's actually voted for infrastructure for all of us from the federal government, but we did this in Illinois in 2019 before they ever got around to it, and before you were elected to Congress, I might add. And then they, thank God for President Biden and the Democratic Congress, we got $20 billion more on top of the $45 billion that we arranged. So guess what? You're going to be working for a very long time in this state. So once again, so much of this was made possible due to the years of fighting and pushing that Glenn did. And I want to say thanks to you. Illinois, frankly, is better for workers. It's better for families. It's better for everyone. When you think about the legacy that you've given to all of us, I think when we go home at night, I think we feel that Illinois has gotten better because of your leadership. So that's why I want you to know that I'm issuing a proclamation. There are several on this table, I might add. Mine's the biggest. Had to say that, sorry. But my walk-on song is "Go Big or Go Home." It's because of, okay, anyway. But I want to make sure that you know that we've issued a proclamation to recognize your service to our state, honoring you by naming this day, October 20th, 2025, Glenn Ramage Day in the state of Illinois. Finally, really embarrassed you, didn't I? It's now my great honor to introduce, honestly, the hardest working person in the United States Congress, somebody that we're all so proud to have representing this state and this region, and that's my good friend, Nikki Budzinski.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's great to be with you. I'm honored to be here, to be a part of this special day. I first want to start out by saying a congratulations to the Downstate Illinois Laborers District Council for this beautiful building. This is a gorgeous building, and I really appreciate the opportunity today to honor, in addition to that, my good friend Glenn Ramage. Glenn mentioned that, I was really honored to get to work with Governor Pritzker when he had first launched his campaign, and it was just Jay, Leader Hoffman, a gentleman by the name of Moose that was driving us around, and now Governor Pritzker. And you don't come into southwestern downstate Illinois and not stop in and see the laborers and visit Glenn. And I just want to say to Glenn, thank you for all of your friendship and your leadership. And I want to say there are so many wonderful things that all of us could say about Glenn. I unfortunately do not have a proclamation, but I did get the honor of honoring Glenn with a speech on the House floor, just emphasizing the significance of his long career and all the many different hats that he's worn for the laborers and to benefit the working people in this country and to fight every day for the middle class in this country. And I can tell you, as somebody that now represents very proudly this district in Washington, D.C., if you ever doubted it, you should know now leadership really matters in our country. And to have leaders, great leaders like Glenn, that have been leading the way for working people for 25 years as the business manager of the laborers, it's a true honor to get to be here to honor you and to see this building be dedicated to you. I want to lift up one thing, one of the many roles that Glenn held, the chair of the Illinois Laborers and Contractors Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. I spend a lot of time in Washington advocating for the apprenticeship programs that the building trades know the best. When we are talking about what we need to do to protect the middle class, grow the middle class, there's no better ticket in this country than to get into LIUNA's apprenticeship program. That's what helps builds the middle class and protects it. Good wages, good benefits, people getting skilled training to get into good paying, six-figure salary jobs, into jobs that Governor Pritzker is creating through Rebuild Illinois and infrastructure investments. But it only happens through a robust union apprenticeship program. When I, as a member of the House, had my first opportunity to invite one special guest to the State of the Union, and I invited a union apprentice, because I think it's so critically important that we continue to open up more opportunities. And that's the great work, some of the great work. I know Glenn did a lot, but some of the great work you did and led on in strengthening our apprenticeship program in this area, in this country. I want to say thank you to you for that. And just say thank you. It's an honor to be here with such a great room full of laborers, good working people, and great leaders that are here to honor Glenn. So with that, I will keep it brief, but to say I love you, you're the best, and it's a great honor to be here. So with that, I will turn it over now to my friend, Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to be here again. I was here earlier, spoke to the business managers and the members. What an incredible building. What an incredible day for Illinois. I am honored to be here. Dustin, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for including me. Thank you for fighting for working men and women. You're a great leader and a great friend. Let's have a round of applause for Dustin Ramage. Am I the only one that notices the irony that Glenn Ramage, who doesn't like attention and doesn't want his name on anything, is not only getting a building named after him, but a day of the year? Glenn, you've always been a great friend to me. You've always been very honest with me, brutally honest with me, with not always the nicest language honest with me. But you've always been a stand-up guy, and you fought for so many working men and women. You are an icon in Illinois. You are an icon nationally. So congratulations on your day of the week and your building and your proclamations. It's my honor to call you my friend. I want to touch on something that Governor Pritzker said. We are so lucky, and I think sometimes we take it for granted, to live in a state like Illinois, where we have leaders who fight for working men and women, who work hard to make sure that there are good paying jobs with benefits. And not only do we have the best governor in the United States of America and outstanding legislators who are always there to fight for the backbone of our economy, but we also have icons like Glenn Ramage. I see my friend John Penn here. There are so many others that have been transformational leaders. And to Governor Pritzker's point, when we travel across the country and we meet with labor organizations, they literally treat us differently because we're from Illinois. They literally want to know how we get so many things done in Illinois. And it's because we have great elected officials, but more importantly, it's because we have people who care so much about their members and about working men and women. Last point I want to say, I had the tremendous honor of a lifetime 10 days ago to go with members of organized labor on a pilgrimage to meet the Pope and talk about the dignity of work, the importance of good paying jobs, and union membership in America. There was about 20 of us. By the way, the Pope's from Illinois, to those of you who don't know, which made it extra cool. But we had a very substantive, powerful conversation. And we got to hear from the Pope in a room smaller than this one. And I've always been pro-labor, and it's always been easy for me because I always want to fight for working men and women as the son of two immigrants. But I have to tell you, hearing the Pope spend so much time talking about the dignity of work and the importance of having a good paying job if you're willing to work, and the profound impact on the leadership role that the United States of America has always served in this capacity, but now more than ever, as the richest country in the history of the world, everyone should have a chance to be in an apprenticeship program, to get a good paying job, to have benefits, to know that they can take care of their kids, their family, their grandkids. That's what all of you stands for. That's who LIUNA fights for and stands for. So on your toughest days, let's not forget that. So that was a profound impact on me. I hope it's something that everyone remembers each and every day. When I look out and see the people in this room, I am inspired, I am honored to be here, and I could not be more honored to call myself your friend. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that all of you do. Congrats, Glenn, congrats, Dustin, and congrats to everyone at LIUNA. Now it's my pleasure to introduce two outstanding leaders, Representative Katie Stewart and someone who's been like a grandfather to me, my friend Jay Hoffman.
Well, thank you very much. And Dustin, this is amazing. Thank you for putting this building in my very own 112th district here in Collinsville. It used to be in someone else's. I'm just going to assume there's a meaning behind that. And Dustin did ask us to be very brief, and just like I always listen to Glenn's advice, I'm going to also listen to Dustin's. But this is what we're here for. This is what we work for, is to support the women and men of labor. Let's do everything we can to continue growing the ranks. I work very hard to grow career technical education in our high schools. Would love to see every student get the opportunity to see what happens every day, see buildings like this, and see how this leads to those great jobs and those great futures. And let's grow our ranks of women in the unions. I just want to put a plug for that. And to Glenn, I know you hate all of this. It is so much deserved, and it's not enough to thank you for everything you've made here, everybody there, and everybody around the state of Illinois. So thank you so much for your years of dedication and your friendship. I can't say it enough.
Thank you, Katie. Alexi, you're never invited back again. This is the Metro East, and there's going to be a toll after that comment. Glenn, you know, what a ride, huh? I can't believe, I hate even doing this because I don't want you to quit. Sorry, Dustin, I guess you'll be okay. But Glenn, just a true dear friend. Even before I ran for office, way back when, I met Glenn when I was an assistant state's attorney, which, by the way, I wasn't very good at, so they said run for office, so I did. And Glenn asked me at the time, and I think back, and how did Glenn and I bond, and how did we become such good friends? Well, I think there's several reasons. One is Glenn and I both lost our fathers in workplace accidents. Glenn and I both care about working men and women and making sure there's a decent wage, pension, health care, and making sure that there's safety at the workplace. And Glenn and I both bonded because we like to have a hell of a lot of fun. Right? And we've done that. That was more fun than the rest of it. And we've done that over the years. And I want to just say that when Glenn, I was deciding to run, him and Tatsi were there from the very beginning, through all those years, all the fights, all the successes, all the turbulation. And man, stand-up people, Glenn's the best. I love him so dearly. And I only had to make one promise to him, and it wasn't that I'd buy him beer. That wasn't it. The promise that I had to make to him is that not only would I be a Democrat, but not necessarily a moderate Democrat, not a progressive Democrat, but a labor Democrat. And that's what I've been ever since we first met, ever since we went through all these trials and tribulations, and every fight was worth it. One last quick story, because I'm supposed to be brief, but he's been my friend for a long, long time. I get a call one day from Richard Mark. Richard was the head of Ameren at the time. And you know, Ameren's headquarters, Illinois headquarters, right over here. And Richard said, "Do you have any idea why the laborers are picketing Ameren?" I said, "No, I don't." I called Glenn, and he says, "Well, I can't get a call back." I said, "Well, did you call Richard or call me?" And Richard would have called you. "No, I didn't." I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Well, there's two members that are two workers that are non-union on this project in Belleville." And I said, "Glenn, two members, and you're going to throw up a picket at Ameren without trying to avoid it?" He said, "Hey, if I let those two members go and their families, it'll be 3 next week, it'll be 4 the next week, it'll be 5 the next week." And I had to agree with him. And so I figured when I was driving here, Dustin, if you want to throw up a picket at Ameren, it's a short walk right across the parking lot. But after that, Glenn and Richard became very good and dear friends. Ameren has never done that again. And I want to tell you, all the people I've worked with over the years, you know, it's putting it mildly to say that Glenn Ramage is probably the best damn labor leader and best damn friend I've ever worked with. Congratulations, Glenn. So it's my honor to introduce my senator, who was promised this election to put my sign in his yard, a great senator and a great dear friend, Senator Chris Belt.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Real quickly, most people think of bosses and leaders as synonymous, right? They think they're the same thing, they're interchangeable. Bosses give tasks and make sure that you carry out those tasks. Leaders guide people. Leaders invest in people. Now, you can be a leader and have boss tendencies. You can't be a boss with leader tendencies. Glenn, I would submit to you today that the fact this room is full of people, that you are a leader, right? Let me also say this about you. When I was running, it's always hard to be the new guy, right? And I'm replacing James Claiborne, 23 years, and I'm out here trying to get traction. And Glenn, you're one of the few people who actually said they worked with my brother. Right? I don't know if you remember this. And this is the early days, and who is this guy? Everybody's got a little trepidation about him, you know. And you came to me and said, I work with your brother. You know, he was a great guy. You know, my brother died in 96, and he was in a house fire in 96, and 4 months later he died because of complications for the house fire. And you said, hey, look, you're going to be all right. And if you need me, right, I'm always here for you. From that moment on, I felt like I would be all right, right? To have you stand next to me in the early days meant a lot to me. Again, those are the leadership skills. The last thing I'll say, and I'll turn the lectern over, is you have your business manager job, and it goes back to being a leader, but you're not a psychologist, but yet you counseled a lot of your members. You reached in your pocket. Now, I didn't talk to you about this, but I know you did it. There were times over the last 25 years that you reached into your pockets and you gave your personal money to members who were in need. You've cried with your members, right? You've done all these things with your members because, damn it, they were your members, and they became family, right? And you had that relationship with them, and then you had to take that hat off and some kind of way go home to Dustin and the wife, and but you did that for 25 years. It's not easy. It's not easy to deal with the gravity of beyond the jobs, beyond whether or not your guys are working. That's the business manager. But to be something more, they leaned on you. They looked up to you, and you never let them down. Finally, if this building is any indication of what you meant to them, then hell, it's got to be Jesus in you. God bless you. What it is my privilege to bring our great state treasurer up, Mike Ferricks.
It is great to be back where I got my start in politics. For those of you who don't know, 28 years ago, here in Collinsville, Illinois, I had an internship with the Southwestern Illinois Building Construction and Trades Council. I went on to have an internship with Jay Hoffman as well. But it was here with labor in Collinsville that I got my start in politics, and I shouldn't have been someone who became the state treasurer. You know, my grandfather was a farmer, didn't own any land. He was a tenant farmer. He worked on a dairy farm every day of his life. They had to pull him out of the tractor. He only left when he went into the hospital, eventually in the nursing home. But my father grew up on that dairy farm. My father started driving a truck, and he joined a union. And because he joined a union, he had better wages than his father had ever dreamed of before him. And he had other benefits. But it was also drilled in him the value of hard work. And so it was about 10 years ago, when I was 5 years old, he was still driving a truck. I went to him and I said, Dad, why don't you retire? You can afford to. You've got Social Security, you've got a pension. My dad's response was, Mike, I work with my friends. I don't want to miss my friends. He kept driving for another 5 years, to age 75, nearly 50 years of work. He had the choice. Too many Americans didn't have that choice, but people who work in a union, you fight to give them that choice. And so I'm here today to honor a person who fought for a long time, who worked every day to give working people a choice, to make sure that families like mine had enough food on the table, to make sure that families like mine, when I got hit by a car, we didn't have to worry about going bankrupt because my father had good insurance and good benefits. And my father got to make that choice whether he retire or not. And so, Glenn, I am sorry to see you retire, but I really appreciate the fact you get to be out there and make your own decisions. And if you ever were thinking, well, hey, when I retire, maybe I don't get to see my friends, I think today will show you your friends are still around. Your friends have not left you. They have shown up. And your friends have named this building after you, but a building is not your legacy. A building is the thousands or tens of thousands of people who came through this union, who were able to put food on the table for their children, who were able to provide health insurance for their family, and were able to decide on their own terms when they got to retire. Not when their back was broken, not when they were forced out, but because someone fought for them. And so thank you for doing that. I will say one other thing, since I just knocked something here off the table. I also brought a proclamation. But this being a party or so, my mom taught me, to bring gifts. And so, as the person in charge of unclaimed property in this state, we looked and found money for Southern Illinois laborers. $5,669 if you know someone who would claim it. And we also found money for laborers local 397, nearly $2,000 if you can point me in the right direction. Glenn, on behalf of all your friends here, thank you for making me be part of this group and be one of your friends.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my mentor and our retired business manager of the Downstate Illinois Labor's District Council, Glenn Ramage.
Oh, shit. I had to make Sandy come today because she thought I was screwing off all the time. I probably was, actually. But no, thank you, everybody, honestly. I know that I'm the only thing standing between you and the open bar with food, and I know that's a problem, right? But they told me to keep my remarks small, but needless to say, there are some people I have to thank. Everyone knows that it takes a lot of coordination, time, and energy to pull an event like this off. So I want to start by thanking all the staff at the District Council office for everything you did. Would you please rise and give them a hand? To all the locals out there who fight day in and day out to improve the lives of working men, women, and their families, without your support, none of this is possible. Could you all please rise? Everybody knows the people standing behind me, and to say that they aren't my friends would be not true. I think Richard Marx said more when I picketed Ameren than what Jay related, but I won't say that in a public setting. To my family, my wife Sandy, yes, she's going straight to heaven, by the way. Our children, Brooke, Dan, Dustin, Kate, who's also our LESIT director, Alyssa, Sam, my grandchildren, Sydney, Drake, Addie, Piper, Grayson, and Oliver. I owe you everything because without your love and support and understanding throughout the years, all this means nothing. Without family, we're just hollow shells. So thank you all. I'm not very good at being in the limelight. I like to work behind the scenes and get stuff done, and then when it's done, I just move on to something else, and whoever gets credit for it, I'm cool with that. But a long time ago, my dad's family moved from Bardwell, Kentucky in 1936, where they were poor sharecroppers, to move to East St. Louis in hopes of a better life. My grandpa, dad, and his three brothers all worked out of Local 100. I joked that if times were different, his three sisters would have probably worked out of there too. I owe this organization everything that provided for my family. I first walked in on a job site in 1971, 3 years after my father was killed at the ripe old age of 15 years old. It was a housing project in Centerville, Illinois for Jake Altman. Think about this. At that particular time, pensions that we now just relish and should were in their infancy. Health and welfare funds, some of them didn't even exist at this time. So be proud of what you have today and never forget how you got there and who gave it to you, because there were sacrifices made a long time ago, not me, before me, that made all this possible. In 1971, our health and welfare contribution was 10 cents an hour. I made a whopping $6.45, which was, quite a bit of money back then, because I think gas was probably around 30 cents. We've come a long way. I will be 70 years old in March, and everything I have, from the shirt on my back to the shoes on my feet, I owe to this organization, and for all of that, I will be eternally grateful. We live in an incredible, scary, explosive, dangerous political time right now, where the rule of law, kindness, and decency have been replaced with hate, retribution, and sometimes violence because we disagree with somebody's opinion or look a little different or have different beliefs. I worry about our future. But as I look out through here, I know standing together, injustice has nothing but things to leave right now. Because we disagree with opinions or look a little different or have different beliefs, I worry about our future, but standing up to them, injustices, as nothing new to this organization from our 132-year history. So if we all stand together, speak from the same voice, and be strong against these unacceptable actions, we will prevail in the end. You have probably heard me say this poem from Martin Niemöller, a Nazi concentration survivor, before. But I think it speaks volumes of standing up for each other in the world today. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Always remember that. They say a man and a woman's legacy is left if he leaves this life a little better than what it was when he came in. I hope to God I did that, and I want to thank everybody here.